Pathwork is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathwork qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathwork to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathwork.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Andres from Andres Mejer Law, immigration attorneys. How are you doing today, Andres?
Ernesto, thank you for having us on the show. I look forward to meeting and discussing marketing with your audience.
Definitely. And well, on that note, let's give why the listeners are tuning in. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing there at your firm?
Yeah. So I'm a business owner with a law license. I love the sales and marketing. The specific services that we offer is helping immigrants achieve legal status. I've been an attorney almost 20 years. I've done every area of law possible. But the one thing that I find that makes the biggest difference to me personally is helping an individual achieve legal status for them and for their family. It may not sound it, I may not look it, but I was born in Santiago, Chile. So I went through this journey myself. I lived twice in Chile, twice in Israel, and twice in the US. You could say I'm a wandering Jew, and you'd be right.
All right, great to hear that from you. And I mean, the story, right? I mean, it goes with what you're doing. So love to hear that because you know the struggle that people are going through. So great to hear that from you, Andres. And so then, how would is there what the key problem that you guys like to solve there then for clients? Then what it would be to connect families or just for the people that are there already? Do you guys go or do they search you when they're still in another country? How do you guys?
So the majority of our clients are in the United States and have been here for 7 years or more. So it's not recent immigrants. So whatever you talk about at the border, people, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, oh, you must be so busy right now because you're in immigration. Like, I'm busy now. I was busy 5 years ago. I was busy 10 years ago. Why? Because there's over 11 million people here. Right? Depending on what numbers, either they're more or they're less. The point is that there's a lot. But most of our clients are inside the United States and want to achieve legal status. Now, of those 11 million people, there's approximately 40% that qualify for something and don't know about it. And there's 9, I call them common paths, but most of them aren't common at all. But the difference between us and some other service providers, law firms in this case, is we evaluate what Ernesto's issues are in total, whether we do them or not. So if we don't do them, we inform them, hey, here's an avenue for you, but it's not something that we can do. But we try to look at the whole package. It's the way that I would want to be treated if I was in their scenario.
Yeah, okay, great to hear that. And so then how would they usually find out about you? Is there a top client acquisition channel
Yeah, so our top 3 lead sources, not necessarily in this order because it does vary month to month, is our website, Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. So we believe that an informed client is the best client, so we create regular content. We've been doing this for years. About 2 years ago, we realized that YouTube was something. Before that, for us, YouTube was where we freely saved our videos. So content strategy was always create video, take that video, make it into a blog, share it everywhere, right? Enough of those articles become some of our books. I've written 5 of them. So that's been our strategy. And all of a sudden, some of our videos started taking off. So I started paying attention and realized, oh, that's a lead source. Okay, let's focus on that. So for the past year, that's really been our focus, is how can we build our YouTube channel and to achieve clients, but also to educate others.
And definitely important, right? I mean, I think there's a lot out there that are lost, so great to hear that. And I've been talking about your YouTube channels, right? You've been successful now that you have two, right? One in Spanish, one in English.
Correct. So for the longest time, we've done all of our marketing in two languages, in English and Spanish. So we would do a video, then turn around and record the next one every single time. And we save them both in YouTube. As we've now learned, well, YouTube has an algorithm, and English-speaking audience is different than Spanish-speaking audience. Now, they're immigrants or they're married to immigrants, so they want the same needs. But just to give you an example, the majority of our clients in the law firm are Hispanic, 75% of them. Of those 75, the largest group are Mexicans. Now, but that doesn't mean we don't have Venezuelans, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Chile, Argentina, Ecuador, Peru, you name it. But what you're hearing is that's Central and South America. Well, English-speaking would be the Caribbean, Africa, India. Their needs, their wants are different. Yes, they want legal status, but some of them are outside the United States trying to come inside. So their needs and their wants are different. They might be business side, or they might be in school, in college, in a university, and looking for other options. Whereas the majority of our Spanish-speaking clients are already here, and for the most part, they're out of status. So the things that would be available, the options that would be available on the immigration side for a student or somebody outside the United States looking for a employment visa to come here would not be available to someone who's here. Different audience, different wants, different needs. And the moment we realize that, is okay, do we really want to create another channel, or do we want to just get rid of the English? And we decided we're going to make an English channel. So we've done that in the past month. And now we're working on a strategy where we're going to be creating and posting daily content, not just weekly.
Amazing. Great to hear that. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you. They could always check you out at andresmejerlaw.com. What role then does the website play for client acquisition?
Well, it's one of our top 3 lead sources. So all of our videos, because they go on YouTube channel, they also go on the website. They get embedded. Also, we create a transcript, and from that transcript, we create a blog article. So there's a web page and there's video. We also have a podcast now. So that content is shared 3 different ways.
Okay, great. And is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation then, Andres?
So everything you've asked me is about lead gen, which is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But what I found is focusing on lead conversion is more important initially, depending on where you are in your business journey. Finding more lead sources, putting water into a bucket with holes doesn't help you. The more water you pour in, the more water that goes out. You need to have a solid funnel or process in order to convert a lead to a hire. So we focus on, for us up until now, whether it's website, YouTube, or otherwise, a qualified lead for us means somebody we've spoken to, phone or text message. We had a conversation, and we were able to ask a series of qualifying questions, and we're able to determine, yes, we can help them. Now, if we can't help them, we tell them, even if it's an option like Asylum that's open to them, but not a service we provide, we would inform them of that. That's what I mean by an informed client. We take the time at the outset, before we've even met one-on-one, to educate them via phone or text. We have, at present, we do not charge a consultation fee, even though it's valued at $495 for 40 minutes. At present, we're waiving that. So every lead, so that's somebody that's messaged us, filled out a form, called us, walked in to our office, they said they're interested. We set an appointment. So there's follow-up sequences that go from they set an appointment to they show up. Then getting them to show up, if they hire us, fantastic. If they don't, there's follow-up sequences in case they don't hire us. If someone expresses an interest in our services but never sets an appointment, so that's a no-set sequence. So we have a no-set sequence, a no-show sequence, a no hire sequence, and a hire sequence. Does that make sense?
Totally. I mean, and I think that's a good way of looking at it because you know which ones are converting, which ones are getting get their most. So definitely good, great to hear that from you.
Segment our list, those 4 different ways, and we communicate them via text, via email, and phone. We have got call cadence. So all our appointment setters, that's either someone who takes an inbound call, we have a dedicated inbound person or two. The majority of our appointment setters are outbound. They have scripts. Those scripts are listened to. They're scored, and there's training weekly. Our green card planning specialists, they're the ones that have the initial appointment with a prospect. They have a script that gets reviewed, scored, and trained weekly. Now, we don't review meaning we don't score every single appointment or every single phone call, but the more that we do, the better we do.
Definitely would agree with you on that. But let's switch gears a little bit, Andres, and let's talk about you. I mean, what are some key tasks you'd like to focus on the day-to-day work, you being the leader there? So
it's funny you say that. Now, we follow the EOS system. I don't know if you've heard about it. Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction. He then sold the business to someone else, but he's written 4 or 5 different books on the subject. So we use it as a management structure. So in the EOS process, I'm the visionary, otherwise known as the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Below me is an integrator who's the chief operating officer. Below the integrator is all our department heads. Now, at present, I'm in both the integrator role and the visionary role. So I'm the CEO and the COO, but I am trying to remove myself from the COO and live only on the COO side. But, we're a growing organization. So in terms of departments, we have sales, we have marketing, and we have workflow. Then we have other. Other is HR, admin, IT. Right now, that's one individual. So workflow is where the work gets done. Sales and marketing is where I love to live. Now, lately, I've had to move from the sales and marketing into the workflow. The sales and marketing is working well. Workflow had to be consolidated. Really, in the past couple of years, we focused, how can we provide better quality service consistently? How can we ensure the best results possible? And in order to do that, we've had to systematize all of our processes so that we can scale. This year is focused on scale. So last year, we built out a client success team underneath workflow. So it was production and client success. This year, those two are now in one. Because the biggest problem became the lack of communication between those two different fiefdoms. So now we've created teams with both of them. It's one department. That's a really long-winded response to what do I do. But right now, I'm focusing on getting the entire of the workflow in a streamlined process where from point of hire to filed to approved gets done as quickly as possible.
All right. Great job. I mean, it sounds like you have a full plate there on your hands, but like you mentioned, you love that business side. So great.
I do.
That.
But I love the marketing side. So, it's a little frustrating that I have to move away from that a little bit so I can focus on making sure that we continue to provide service that far exceeds our competitors. We don't have to be the best in the world. Just have to be better than your competitors.
Definitely would agree on that then. That next up then, Andres, is if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Well, finding clients, we don't have a problem with that. Qualifying clients, however, is a challenge because some people, the majority of our client base, blue collar workers, they work in construction, landscape services, or restaurant services. Those are the three things they most commonly do. So if you're talking about 9 to 5, they're working outdoors. They don't always have their phone on them. They don't answer. So when they're available to speak is nights and weekends. No, I don't want to work nights and weekends. Most of my team doesn't want to work nights and weekends. So if there was a magic bullet, it would be something that would automatically respond to clients' questions and issues, 100% foolproof, would not give legal advice because it's an automated something, right? Or even if it's a person, would not give legal advice, but would answer their questions and schedule their appointment while I'm sleeping. That would be awesome. A lot of AI is getting there. Chatbots are getting there. None of them are there yet, from what I understand, but maybe next week, maybe next month. So qualifying clients at their convenience, not mine. Right now, we're forcing them to work on our time when we have dedicated agents. And we're working on creating a second shift team for nights and weekends. But still, it takes time to bring in and train 5 or 6 more people. So we're not there yet, but we're working on it. But if I didn't need to do that and there was a technological solution, that would be awesome.
All right, great to hear that from you then, Andres. And well, lastly, Andres, I mean, like you mentioned, you have a lot of experience already, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Be braver. Dream bigger. Often being able to imagine what's possible is the hardest thing. I mean, obviously I'm an attorney, right? But I know this maybe sounds surprising, but we don't actually learn the practice of law in law school. We learn how to think. We learn how to research and how to write. If you knew how to write before, you have to unlearn how to write to learn the legal writing method, right? But that's what they teach you. Then they unleash you onto the world and say, go choose something, right? Then you got to figure out what that is. So you're focused on, how do I be a better attorney, whatever that means, in whatever capacity, whether it's family law, divorces or criminal cases, or in my case, immigration. So you focus on being the best that you can. But at no time does anybody tell you you're a business owner if you work for yourself. Or if you really want to succeed, you should work for yourself. No, they tell you, focus on being better at your job and everything else will come. Well, the reality is, you could be the best attorney in the world. If nobody knows about you, you're still starved. So you have to be a proficient marketer. You don't have to be the best in the world, but at the very least, you need to be good enough that you can understand when the vendor can help you and when they can't. When they're lying to you, what are they really saying? At the very least, you need to learn that. So if I was talking to myself 20 years ago, I'd be telling myself, don't go to big law. Don't go to these large law firms the way I initially started. Start your own path as quickly as possible. Because it's a whole lot easier to start when you have nothing. When you're not married and have kids and have a mortgage, that's the best time to take risks. Because it becomes, because the faster you can fail, what's the definition of success? You just didn't give up.
Exactly.
So I'm a black belt in martial arts. It's something I love doing. I train with my kids. In the wall of our dojo, they have a sign that says, a black belt is just a white belt that never gave up. And that's what it comes to. Don't be afraid to fail. Dream bigger. We are now national law firm, 5 offices. We help people in 20 different states. But for the longest time, my thought was, I need to have an office every 5 miles for my Google listing. And, we don't want to be anywhere bigger than New Jersey. I have clients in 20 states right now, and I don't have offices there. Right? So dream bigger, because you never know what's possible until life throws your football.
Yep, I would agree with that, right? I think you mentioned that, right? When you're young, you can take all the risks you want. There's nothing that's going to harm you from anything. You're just going to grow. So love that advice. And
now, if I screw up, other people suffer, not just me. Now we're over 30 employees. I, I have my family to think of. So if I make a mistake, there's a lot of people in addition to me that will suffer because of it. So that gives me more gray hair. I can't complain that to you. I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, it's part of it, right? But Andres, we are coming to the end of the show here. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about your firm?
At the end of the day, we help people, specifically immigrants that want to achieve legal status. That is what we do. That's what we're passionate about. And we believe an informed client is the best client. That's why we have our podcast, our YouTube channel, blog articles, books that we've written. We don't charge for any of that. It takes a tremendous amount of my time. But again, an informed client is the best client.
Definitely.
Follow us, whatever channel you like.
There you guys heard it. You can check him out at andresmejerlaw.com or just look for him as the El Green Card Abogado on YouTube.
Yeah.
Andres, thank you so much for being on with us today. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Path Monk Presents. Thanks a lot, Andres.
Pleasure meeting you, Ernesto.